YOLO everyone, welcome to YOLO Learning. It is now Trigonometric Function Skill 3 Transformations. Whenever you hear transformations, it's pretty much the same as the transformations that you dealt with before with different functions. For example, remember the A, B, C, and D with vertical, horizontal, and vertical effects. So let's take a look at this. The basic form is slightly different from the previous functions because you have sine and cosine. And when you see sine, S-I-N, those are not the variables. It's actually one function. So let's take a look at it. The format is y or f at x equals a sine b x minus c plus d, or f at x a cosine b x minus c plus d. And a, b, c, d, they are exactly the same transformation as before. Let's take a look at the actual example. In the first NPC, transformation, find all the transformations of y equals -3 sine -2x minus 30 degrees plus 1. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 transformations. So let's then take a look at one at a time. The first one is the reflection on the x-axis. The second one is the 3, which is vertical stretch by a factor of 3. So those two are done. Then the next one is the negative inside, which is reflection on the y-axis. So that's good. Then the 2 inside over there is the horizontal compression by a factor of the reciprocal of that, 1/2. So don't forget that B works in a little trickier way.
No! God, please, no!
Then x minus 30, and that is compared to x minus c. Therefore, the c is positive 30. Therefore, it is horizontal translation 30 degrees right. The last one is plus 1. So then vertical translation 1 unit up. Done. Same as before. Next one is NPC giraffe. Sure. NPC graph. Now, graphing a sinusoidal function. So we're going to graph this on to this Cartesian plane. And what we need to figure out is just A, B, C, and D. That's all that is. And we use the mapping method to do this. So A is -3, B is -2, C is positive 30. Why did I space these out so much? I don't know. Now, then the mapping method, remember the mapping method actually works as a x comma y goes to x over b plus c comma a times y plus d. And this case then will be x over -2 plus 30 degrees, comma, then -3y plus 1. And using this mapping method, we basically go through all those 5 points, the key points that we learned in the skill 2, to find the new 5 key points of the transformed function. And that's all that is. So since this is a sine, I will go with 0, the middle, and then max, middle, min, and middle, right? So it will be 30 degrees. Again, remember, I did all these calculations ahead of time before I made this video. That's why I know the values. So when you do this, try not to do it in your head. Either write it on a piece of paper and do the calculation, or use your calculator carefully. And then 1.
The next one, 90 degrees, comma 1, is -15 degrees, comma -2. The 180 degrees, comma 0 is -60 degrees, comma 1. Then one after that is -105 degrees, comma 4. And then the last one, the 360 degrees, is -150 degrees, comma 1.
So hopefully you see that the x values are changing by -45 degrees each time, right? It's actually changing by -45 degrees each time. The y values are changing from 1 to -2 by -3, and then +3, and then 3, and then -3. The actual numbers are the same. The reason why signs change is because it fluctuates. It goes up and down and up and down, right? So that's why. So let's then graph this. So the first degree is 30 degrees and 1. And I'm going to say this is our 30 degrees. Let's actually use a thicker one. And then I will say this is 1, 2, 3, and then 4.
We have -30 degrees, -60, -90, -120, and then let's see what we can do. So, -30 degrees and 1, that's the first point. Or sorry, +30 degrees and 1, that's the first point. -15 degrees, -15 degrees, comma -2. So -15, I mean 2 squares are 30, therefore 1 square is 15. So -15 is over there, and with -2, right there. Then -60 with 1, then -105 with 4, and then -150 with 1. So our graph looks like this.
Done. There we go. So that's my graph. And that's quite simple and easy to do. And hopefully you notice hopefully you notice our period in this case is then 30 degrees is subtracting negative 150, and that is 180 degrees. In our original sine, our period is actually 360, right? But 180 is just half of it. Using the transformation, the graph is horizontally compressed by a factor of 1/2, meaning if I multiply my original 360 by 1/2, I should be getting my new transformed period. Voila, we do have that, right? So remember that. And at the same time, if you take a look at the amplitude, the middle one is right here. The amplitude is 3. So hopefully you notice that this 3 over there gives you an amplitude as well. And that's easy. So that gives you amplitude, and this 2 over there gives you the period. So the period was basically 360 degrees, the original period, and then divided by whatever the b value. So, or I can say the by a factor of reciprocal of that, so by 1/2. And that gives me the period, our new period. Then the next one is 30, the c value, and hopefully you notice it. First point was actually the 30 degrees. So that was your first point. I'll say first point. And the reason why I say first point rather than the starting point is because when you have a reflection on the y-axis, your starting point becomes your ending point because you rotated along the y-axis sideways. So that's why. Now then the D, hopefully you notice it, that is our EAS. So that's our middle. So this is our EAS. So that's actually, and then that's all, okay? So your A gives you the amplitude. Your B gives you the period, but you have to go through the 360 times 1/b, or you can say 360 over b. And we actually do have a specific name for this. We call this one frequency. So b is actually called the frequency, and you will deal with that one a bit later with the word problems. Now the C gives you the first point to start, then the D gives you the EAS. So this is very critical for you to remember of. So please remember these, and then the graphing will be much simpler and easier for you to do. So hopefully this was beneficial. Hopefully I didn't waste your time too much, and I really do appreciate your time and your effort to watch this and effort to understand the whole unit. I'll see you guys in the next skill, which is the last skill. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like button. Bye bye.